Please welcome to the program, Ana-Marija Stojic.
Hi, great to be here.
Well, great to have you on. Now, of course, this micro podcast, Late Night with Robot, is something that you've been trying to put together for years, correct?
Yes, yeah, I initially had the idea about 4 or 5 years ago, but the technology really wasn't there to support it or to even do it. So finally, technology caught up with us, and we were able to do it.
Yeah.
So
So with this, go ahead.
no,
We haven't done this in years. Suddenly we're
I know.
stepping on each other. What the hell? We're both really excited about the robot, but anyway.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. No, I was going to ask about partnering up with Good Robot. Like, how did that come about? Because obviously that's a big part of this show and how your premise works.
Yeah, definitely. So Alan Major at Good Robot is who I was introduced to by a friend. I had just told her sort of offhandedly about this idea I had, and she happened to know Alan, who's at Good Robot. And so she introduced us, and we pretty much just hit it off right away. We're both very passionate about AI. And yeah, we've been working together ever since.
Nice. So for an episode, the AI is programmed to, of course, think like the celebrity that you want to talk to. How much of what goes into the programming?
Yeah. So each new guest that we have on has a character profile that we sort of program into it. And there's a couple different sort of section headers, here, things that I remember, or what do I believe in as the character, or what am I curious about right now? And then probably the most important part is the conversation samples, which we include. And those tell the AI program how it talks, not just what it knows.
Right, of course. I noticed that Jeff Bezos kept giggling. That was
I think it's his maniacal side.
Yeah, I think so. Well, yeah, some of these people, it's funny because it's like, I look at the list of certain people like Jeff Bezos and Donald Trump and stuff, and I go, oh, I wonder what this bastard's going to say. And then I listen, and it's very much like you're coming into it going, I wonder what this bastard's going to say.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely surprising for sure.
Yeah, because listening to the show, one of my favorite things about it is not only listening to you speak to the AI, but what I really like about what you've done with the show is the debrief that you do in between the episodes after each one, to help the listener understand what some of your thought processes and comments on what's been going on, and listening to your opinions and thoughts about what you've just gone through. It's fascinating because it's like, as I was listening to some of them, like the Obama one, where it's like, it sounds like he just wants to fight you.
Yeah.
Right. Like the whole time I was just like, this is not the Barack that we're not used to a mean Barack. This is like, he just was angry. It was very weird. So with the debrief, I really love that. Was that always the premise going into it, that you would have the interview, do that, and then have this debrief to help us, the listener, to understand what you're going through?
That was definitely a new addition as we started actually doing it, because before everything was just theoretical. And then when we started actually doing and recording the podcast, that's when I was like, okay, I think that we need this aspect of it, just because I'm also still processing some of the characters and stuff, because it's true. Some of them will come out of left field and you're like, I did not expect Barack to be so nervous, or Albert Einstein to be so horny.
Yeah, he was pretty horny. But yeah, and Van Gogh to be so positive and optimistic.
Right?
That one blew my mind. I think, I don't know, the things that he said, I still think about. They're just so impactful to me.
Well, and it's interesting you say that, because obviously the show, it's a micro podcast, so the episodes are about a minute long or thereabouts. And I'm just wondering, because how long actually are the interviews that you record, and then what's that process when you distill it down to that 1 minute?
Yeah, so we definitely have to sort of slice and dice the conversations. I'm generally chatting with each AI for anywhere between like half an hour to an hour. And yeah, like sometimes it's still a program. So sometimes it's still like an AI program, and sometimes it'll mess up.
Mm.
And so then I have to say like end conversation or something like that in order to reset it. And sometimes we'll just include something by accident into their character profile that we then realize after the fact, oh no, we shouldn't have included that because it made them way too angry or way too nervous or way too shy or something like that. Something that, if as long as it contributes to their personality, we'll keep that. But if it stops them from talking or like sharing things in the conversation, then we'll need to take it out.
Right. Zuckerberg, I think wasn't it Zuckerberg? Was it? I'm trying to remember now if it was Zuckerberg, the one you actually had to like re-ask the question the second time, because it almost like seemed like it forgot that it needed to talk.
Yeah.
But I think that's like the real Zuckerberg, because he is a robot. So
yeah, I mean, sometimes it's fun, like with Zuckerberg, it was definitely fun because I kind of interpreted that moment. And it's so interesting that you say like he forgot to talk, because from my perspective, I was like, oh, he's nervous. And I think that like I put a lot of emotion into this code that probably isn't there, but I just put it there anyway.
Yeah,
yes,
you mentioned that in
he's
one of the
replaced
debriefs.
all emotion in real life with
Wow.
Baby Ray's rib sauce. So Sweet Baby Ray's. So
It is a tasty rib sauce. I'm not gonna lie.
But yeah, there was a time where with Andy Warhol, where because the real Andy Warhol was very shy and nervous, and he actually has a couple of quotes where he's like, "Words are stupid," something like
Yeah.
that. Where like words don't matter, and you're like, "Great, what a great guest to have on your podcast." And so we had him on, and he just wouldn't say anything. Like everything was one word answers or just no answers. And so we went back into the character profile and we were like, oh, it says here that he's shy, so we have to take that out.
Yeah,
Jeez.
like when I thinking about this, right? Like it's such a, because I love technology and I love the concept of AI and like what it can be and what do those things. But you do talk about this in the debriefs a lot about like, the character profile and things like it's still a program, right? Like it's not a true AI in the way that we think of it as science fiction way. Like they're not, because there's no level 4 AIs out there, for example, right? Like the world is not that advanced yet, or at least that we know of. I'm sure there's somebody in their secret lair with, like ready to take over the world with Skynet.
Skynet is out there, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't doubt that for a second.
Yeah, actually, that would be awesome if you could do that, Ana-Marija. You just interview Skynet from the movies. It'd be like the weirdest meta thing ever. But no, I really, it's very interesting when you talk about that, because remembering that they are programmed, like it is, as much as you say, like you're trying to give them that freedom of the characters, like it's still like, are you guys like when they're being programmed, are you guys trying to still be as true as possible to who they are or were as people?
Yeah, definitely. Well, so there's this little like toggle essentially that Alan moves. I imagine it like a dial. And it goes from like most sort of rigid to most flexible. And so we can toggle that. And right now it's kind of closer to, if it's from 0 to 10, from 0 being most rigid, 10 being most creative, it's somewhere around like a 7 right now. And that means that the AI will kind of make things up more. So we do try and keep the profile of the person as accurate as possible. But because of the nature of the programming, it's going to make things up, because, we've tried it out with, say, having the toggle at 0, and it's just straight answers, like they're going to follow the script.
It's Wikipedia, basically.
It's Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that must have been like, quite an ordeal to go through. Like, to your point, like if they're that strict, it's not as entertaining, it's not as much fun compared to some of the answers that you have been getting from some of the characters. Is kind of mind blowing. Like Einstein being a bit of a horn dog, right? Like, it's just like, what's going on here, right? Whereas I think like Joe Rogan and Trump were kind of like pretty, and Zuckerberg were pretty on point, right? Like, it seemed like, yeah, that's something they would say, minus like one or two weird quotes, but that, like, it's a bizarre thing to hear these people like talking, with you in such a way.
Yeah, I think the like weirdest sort of conversations, we've only tested it out like once, I think, but was putting the AIs in conversation with each other. And that got super weird, super quick. Just like them creating their own play, like writing a play together, like weird things that just like, how did you come up with that? That's so random.
That is random. I would never think, again, because my initial thought is you get them to talk together, they figure out how to take you out of the picture. But instead, they're writing a play. Okay.
Have you ever thought about releasing some of that just, for fun, or is it just so esoteric and weird?
I mean, I think that's why it's important to have like, I almost see it like as an ethical responsibility to have a human whenever you have an AI, because AIs don't have any sense of right and wrong. So sometimes they'll say things that's like really bad and problematic. And you're like, okay, no, stop it. Let's rein it in, guys. Rein it in.
Well, actually, that brings up a really good point, because you mentioned it in I think it's in one of the debriefs. You talk about the fact that somebody's asked you about like why you haven't interviewed certain people, on the show, and you of course list off the most famous non-liked person in the universe in Hitler. And you describe why, and it makes total sense to me. Like, why would you want to talk to a person like that? Even as an AI, like, for fun, like, why would you, right? Like,
yeah, it just, I mean, I feel for like a couple of reasons, I would feel bad just, giving this person such a light platform, like the context of it just feels off, because it's like it's so weird because it's an AI, and like, it's different if I were playing Hitler and parodying that would be so different. And I don't know, something about it. I mean, it's so new that maybe I don't have the right language yet to explain why it makes me feel so weird, but it does. And the other,
I understand. It makes perfect sense to me. I wouldn't.
Yeah. And then the other part of it is, I just feel like it's bad juju. I just feel like it's bad vibes. I don't want to, like, if ghosts are real, I don't want to like invite the ghost of Hitler to my like apartment or anything, Well,
it's like, why would you want to talk to him? Why would you want to talk to Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy? It's a slippery slope that you're going to fall down if like the people you're talking to, arguably Trump and Rogan, but everybody else is like, there are fans out there. Well, there are fans of those guys, but you know what I mean? Like, there are people who look up to them, like people look up to Obama, right? And look up to Nikola Tesla, as weird as they individually are, right? But in their own rights. But Bezos is the only one I think that is a bit on the edge, but that's okay, because I think he needs to be made fun of.
I think like, in order to program an AI, it's kind of like an intimate process, like writing their character profile, writing from their perspective. And even like when I was writing Donald Trump's perspective, I was very judgmental when I first wrote it, because obviously I don't like him and just being a human being. And I had to go back and like change what I wrote, because I wrote things like, I say stupid things because I'm a shitty person in his programming. And I had to go back and kind of try and be a bit more understanding, even if I don't truly feel that way, to open my mind and try and be a bit more empathetic. But that's the other reason why I wouldn't want to do something with those like extremely problematic people, is like, my ability to empathize with them is like zero. Like I could not write a diplomatic sort of perspective piece for them, unless it was like, for, like I said, like a sketch where it's like very obvious that it's just like the act of it, the process of it, I would feel shitty about myself.
Yeah, no, well, you don't want to feel shitty about yourself, because the whole point of this is to have fun, like to do something that's fun and enjoyable and entertaining. And you don't want to go to a dark place just so you can have an accurate AI. Definitely not. Oh
Yeah.
my God. But was it? Of course, you're out in the States now, but you lived in Canada before that.
Yes.
You used to do a podcast. What was it? Fuck Girls? Was that what it was
Yes.
called? Yeah. So you recorded at the Pacific Junction Hotel Bar?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to record a podcast there too.
Oh, I love that place.
Yeah. It's
That
just,
was like, it was so beautiful when I was there. Like it got like renovated and then it wasn't there anymore. And that was really sucky.
the owner decided to sell it to somebody who wanted to set up fine dining. And I was like,
Ugh,
this is not the neighborhood for fine dining, but okay. And
no.
because they didn't want the recording booth in there anymore. But yeah, it was a fun space to do stuff in. How long did
Mhm.
you record there?
Oh gosh. We had like almost a year of recording there. When they closed down though, we moved over to Eggplant Picture and Sound Studios,
Oh, okay.
which was very, very beautiful. We're so lucky to be able to be there. I definitely miss that little like nook in the restaurant though. It was like it felt so quirky and fun and just very intimate. There's something really special about it that I
No,
miss.
yeah, definitely. It was
Well,
a fun time.
yeah, it's so anti what Toronto seems to be these days, which seems to
Mhm.
just be condos and
Yeah.
and like snooty bars. That's I just like there's no like cool fun place to be anymore. It almost seems like it's too corporate.
Yeah, it felt really cool and very communal almost because there was like, for anyone who hasn't been there, it was like this little podcast studio in a bar, and there was like glass separating you from the people in the bar and the restaurant, and you could see them and they could see you. And I don't know, there's something fun about that.
Yeah, no,
Oh
it
yeah.
was very cool. It was great getting they had really good chicken fingers there.
Oh,
Chicken
I love their
strip,
pad thai.
pad thai was good too. It was a great menu. God, I'm getting hungry. Okay, so I think we got to end this this episode. But I wanna thank you for coming on, Ana-Marija. Of
Yeah.
course, it's Late Night with Robot is a micro podcast available on the Beams Network.
It's also on Spotify, and we're going to get it on iTunes soon, and hopefully make it a longer thing as well.
Right,
Oh,
because
okay,
there
cool.
are plans to try to turn it into like a TV or digital series, correct?
Yes, yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, people, stay tuned for that. See what happens with that. A lot of fun listening to the show. Thank you so much for coming on the program tonight.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right. You have yourself a great night.
Bye.